So we are going to get right into this, and we thank Anu Bardwaj for, doing the state of women and amplifying the opportunity for women, but not only women, but all of us to come together and connect with each other. I'd like to welcome two amazing women that we have here, which is Miss Maria Drueco and Johan Penny. And what I love about this is that you can see we're all from diverse backgrounds, and they are mothers, okay? And we're going to have a little bit of a different kind of conversation. This is going to be a conversation, not an interview, okay? And I'd love the audience to chime in from the chat, because I'd love to keep these two women here just for you to hear their stories, because I think they're important. These are the stories that we're not talking about, not a story to tell, oh, let's go tell a story and, inspire someone. No, these are things that are really happening on the ground that people are dealing with. And how it's affect. Maria and Johan, let's have a conversation here. You're both mothers, okay? You both run your businesses, you have families, and you're trying to take care of yourself. You're trying to take care of your children. You're trying to take care of dealing with their schooling, your husbands, mothers, whatever is going on. And, I have my husband and my family, and it's not easy, and in some ways, when you have parents who get older, your grandparents or parents, they're getting older. I want to, put this over to both of you, whoever wants to speak first. You have a business. What has it been like to try to get you time in between the kids, the husband, or if you're a single parent or whatever, what has it been like for you trying to get Johan time and Maria time?
You want to go ahead, Joanne?
You go ahead. Oh, you go.
Okay. Well, this past year has been a struggle for me. I have a travel agency business aside from my consulting business. And so, as you know, the travel business, as with other businesses, has been swiped away by the pandemic, right? So last year, I spent my time really just trying to help my clients. Whatever, service they need, they get refunds or bring them back to the country. I'm from Canada, Alberta, Canada. And so we were one of those first countries who actually shut down the country. We're not allowed to travel. We had a hard time trying to get people back. And so I actually had to get help for myself, because I really went into a, downward spiral. And to be honest, I haven't shared this experience, but I'm glad that I'm here and sharing this, because people might actually learn from this. And so there was a point last year that I had to, first 6 months I was just working and trying to help others. Being a mom and family here in Canada, you do everything just like in North America, in the UK, right? So very different from my life in the Philippines, where I had some help. I have a household help there. I have my parents to help me with my raising up the kids, but here it's just me and my husband. And so it took a toll on my health. I finally came to realize and finally came to accept that I cannot do it alone. I need help. And so I have really, I did my best to really go to my general physician, my doctor, and let him know going through this. And I'm glad I did it, because otherwise I would have went really downward spiral. My physical health has been affected as well. It's very hard, but I think we really need to be aware, and we really need to carve time for ourselves, because we are moms. For the most, kids depend on us. Maybe our husband depend on us, right? And if you have businesses to run, it is, it's really on us. So we really need to make sure that we are carving time for ourselves. And that's what I did. Last year, I really had to make sure that I'm just, shutting off my laptop, not doing anything, just reflecting, doing some exercise, and it helped me a lot.
About you? Thank you so much, Maria, for sharing that, because I don't think people like to admit that they're dealing with these things, and this is, we wanted to talk about mental health, because it's not easy. I think we're always expecting women to be super women, we can do it all. And sometimes for me, I just want to be a woman. I just want to be a human being like anyone else. And we all do need the support. So Johan, could you tell us a little bit like how this has been for you? And I see your gorgeous son there. Did we lose you, Johan? Oh wow. Did we lose you? We can't hear you. Oh, I think she's going to come back in. So, Maria, until Johan comes back in, I think there's an issue when you're trying to do it. Here she is. Hi, Johan. Are you with us? Johan? Can you hear us?
I don't think she can hear us. Can you hear us, Joanne?
Johan? Johan, can you hear us?
Can you unmute, Joanne?
She's not muted. Okay. Hopefully she'll hear that. So, Johan, can you hear us? Maybe that'll do it. Hi, Johan, can you hear us? Oh, wow. Maybe I can ask her the question. Can you hear us now, Johan? Let me just tell her we can hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
There you go. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, she'll come back. So, for me, having a husband, having to take care of the family, an older mother-in-law, can't see her because of COVID, and she's right in the neighborhood, and she's, afraid for those reasons. It's really hard. And then trying to take care of your business. One thing I wanted to ask you too, how was it for your children being, at home and no socialization, and then you had to deal with that too? How was that for you?
Well, I have 3 children, 2 adults. So, one adult, 22-year-old, an 18-year-old, and my 15-year-old. 2 boys, and my youngest is a girl. And so I think the 2 boys took it well. Maybe it depends on their personality as well. But my daughter, she's very social, and I know that she struggled. Even though we tried to explain to her that, this is the best thing and everyone is experiencing this. Initially, my husband and I had to really explain to them what's going on. And especially for my daughter, who's 15, and she was, it was her first year in a senior high. She's looking forward to it, but then, it didn't happen. So she actually was very much affected. I can tell because there was some change in her behavior. And, there was a point wherein I have to ask her and, ask her, do you really understand what's going on? Because this is a safety issue for everyone. And I hope you understand that everyone has to go through this. Everyone has to follow the restrictions. And, later on, it just has some, I think it affected our relationship a bit. And I'm also struggling, right? So it came to a point that I had to ask my husband, can you just talk to her? Because I don't think she is, trying to absorb what I'm saying. So maybe, we take turn in supporting each other when it comes to explaining to the kids what's going on and the role that they have to do to really make sure that we're following the rules, we're following the restrictions, and it's for everyone's safety.
I get that. Wow. It's very interesting that you would say that because, the kids are dealing with a lot emotionally and mentally themselves. I heard you say you went through a lot physically. Did you and your husband go through a lot emotionally, just seeing each other all day, all the time?
Well, my husband still had to work at the office, so it's only me who is working at home. So we're kind of spared with that. But when I said physically, it's more of like, my body is really reacting to the stress. I'm getting a lot of aches and pains. I'm getting a lot of headaches. And so I know that's what, that's what the doctor told me. Your body's reacting to all these stress, so you really need to slow down. But to be honest, I know there has been an increase in domestic violence here in Canada as well because of the COVID situation. My husband has to work at the office even because I think he's considered front. So we didn't have to worry about that.
And I think the stress, people don't realize it doesn't necessarily mean that someone is always abusive. It's just, would you say it's just being at home all day long? If a husband and wife have to be there all day long with the children, cooped up in the house, can't go anywhere. Even if you have the biggest yard available and you have an upstairs and downstairs, you're all in the same home.
I think I can definitely say that there's an impact to other families on that one. Especially if you're not used to just all being together at the same time, in one home, and how much little space, right? So everyone has to work, everyone has to do online learning, and it could really add to maybe the stress to the whole family.
Wow. Well, I wanted to ask Johan, how has this been for you, Johan? Raising a son, being a mother, being out there and actually dealing with your business and having to put all of these things together for yourself. I want to ask you about, number one, the first question is you having me time, okay?
Yeah.
And what has it been like psychologically for you, having to be like at home or just even in your neighborhood or in London all the time? What has it been like for you?
I mean, it's been a total reset, physically, emotionally, mentally. You saw just now, my son came in. It's like you never switch off, right? So even when you think that you have your child in bed, you might do some work. It's, you have to be really flexible and just like really keep going with the flow. I feel like for me, having the reset of not having a 9 to 5 was fantastic. But at the same time, it's quite exhausting because you're consistently and continually like working, whether that's your home life, whether that's trying to get me time, whether that's homeschooling. And believe me, I am not a teacher. I found that so hard to, I was like, how do they do it? So, it's like you suddenly were supposed to be mum, teacher, carer, 24/7, plus a partner, plus doing having your own business or working for an organization. It was like a tremendous like effort, and I think people's levels of exhaustion actually were paramount, and we've had to find a way to navigate and to actually make it work for us. But that's taken we're a year in, right? So it's taken almost a year to actually think, do you know what, I've got this, I can do this. I can still be really successful businesswoman. I can I can still be a good mum, but there was definitely times when I thought, you know what? I don't know if I can do this. I do not know if I can sustain my business. I do not know if I can sustain being amazing, interactive mum and partner, etc. So it definitely has been tough. So there's been some positives and some negatives. But I think the difference for me is that there's no cut-off. There's no switch off. It's a 24/7 kind of like role, and it's that. And so in that respect, it's really hard to carve out me time, right?
I want to know what you both do when your patients are just tried. Let's get really real here for a minute and really authentic, okay? Because it's great to have the nice ways of saying things. But people who are listening to us, we want to get past the levels of income, high income, low income. It doesn't matter what income. I mean, even Melinda Gates said one day that she was just tired. What has happened for both of you when you're, one of your children or your husband comes in and it's like, one more thing. If they ask me one more thing that they need, I'm going to lose. And you actually do snap. I mean, you apologize later, but you snap. How have you been able to support yourself in those moments when everyone's like, mommy, this and that, and then you've got your business calling you and all of that, and you snap, because you're human. What have you done to support yourself in those moments?
I find that for me, and it's the way I've been brought up, but I find that crying and tears, and it's really wrong, but I see it as a real sign of.
Did we lose her?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, maybe she'll come back. What about for yourself, Marie? What have you done when you were just about to snap?
Well,
Yeah.
I just let it out.
Oh, there she's back.
Okay.
We lost
Yeah,
her
I'm
for a
back.
minute. What would you share that with us? Yep, we just lost her totally. Would you share with us, Maria, then?
Yeah, so I agree with you. We're all human, right? And there will come a snap. So maybe it's just like one call from your daughter or from your son saying asking where it is. It's the typical like you know where it is, but you want me to give it to you. So I'm human, and I can say that I sometimes I take it on them whenever I'm tired. Like I'm just so irritable. And one thing that actually what I do is sometimes I feel bad at the end of the day. And what I did was I had to explain to them that I'm going through something as well, especially for my with my two sons, who is I think is they understand where I'm in my situation. So um, I had to apologize. To be honest, I had to apologize if it's really a bad conversation that I had with them. Um, I told you there's been some struggle with my daughter as well, and that's my relationship with her was the one most affected. And I felt so bad because she's my only daughter. I would love to have a very nice relationship with her, but I'm human and I'm tired, and I just had to let it out. And it happens. It happened, and one thing for me, if ever I know that I hurt them, after a few days, I speak with them. I try to speak with them and explain to them where I'm coming from, and I apologize for my bad behavior.
See, Maria, this is what I love. This is real. This is being okay to express what we deal with, what we go through, and like nothing's wrong with us. We're just human. So I want to come
Mhm.
back to you, Johan. It's at the end of the day, okay? And you have just like been through it with work. Your son needs your help, and you're like, I just, not one more thing. How have you had to support yourself when you're just at the end of your rope? Oh boy. Okay. There we go again. So, one of the other things too that I wanted to ask you too is, when your clients call you, Maria, and
Mhm.
they want more and more and more, okay? And they want more and they want more and they want more, okay? And you can't tell the clients you can't provide something because that's the way of being paid, okay?
Mhm.
And at the same time, they want more and more because it's online, but yet you're trying to manage yourself in those moments. Have you set boundaries with your clients as a result?
Well, yeah, I do that. I do that every time I have a conversation with a client, whether it's a first time client or a repeat client. I have to let them know these are the things that we will be working on. And outside from this, it has to be another conversation. I try to be upfront, but sometimes clients are, they could be very demanding. You were saying about that they just want more. I have to really make sure that I'm setting boundaries, and I'm just very transparent and upfront. That's just how who I am. That's how I deal with them. And first off, I had to explain why I'm saying this and why I cannot do it. And I provide other options. That's just how I deal with them. Otherwise, if you just keep on giving and giving, it actually will hurt your the bottom line of your business. It will just give you enough more stress to deal with, because yes, we have to provide what you call that best excellent customer service to your client, but they have to understand too that this is what you have talked about. This is your agreement, and beyond that, it needs to be another conversation. So with me, I'm just very upfront, and if I can tell them I cannot do it, I'll provide other options.
Let's add an extra layer to that. Do you give your clients a specific time of day that they can call you, and after that, that's it? That's for you and your family, and that's it. Do you have that in place being an entrepreneur?
Yes, yes. I think it's very important to put boundaries, especially with the time that they wanted to reach out to you. So whenever I do like my consulting work, I do have a I can let them know I'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours, but only within business days and only within this particular time frame. Because my work is really not about we're not dealing with life and death situation here, so things will have to wait if it's outside that time boundary. So yes, I do set boundaries with time.
That's good to know because many people do not do that. And they find that their clients are calling afterwards. One of the things, we're talking about how this is affected, but has this also brought your family closer in some ways too?
I think so. I think so. One advantage is we actually are able to spend more time together. We try to have, aside from family dinner time, we try to have some every Friday. My husband will just say, okay, let's have some movie time together because they're all in the house, right? They cannot go out. The two boys cannot go out on a date or go with their friends. So they don't have any choice. But I think it actually brought our family closer together, including our faith too. So we actually try to make sure that we are attending our a mass or celebrating mass as a family, and there's no reason for them not to attend mass because it's just online. So it's easier for us to do that as a family.
We're trying to bring Johan in, and for some reason, I don't have the wherewithal to do that. But if Anu is there or someone from the State of the Women, can they bring Johan back in? One of the things that I think also I've heard a lot of young people say that, for their parents, that they have come to appreciate their families more. Would you say that your children have come to have a closer relationship with you and your husband and appreciate their family time more?
I can say that. I mean, I can attest to the note that they gave me during the Mother's Day, right? So it was a very warm message, and just trying to appreciate you as a mom. And I can say that sometimes they open up to me that they will say, especially my boys, they will say that, Mom, I know we'll have to deal with this, I think, longer. And so why don't we just do this? So they are the ones actually helping me carve out the schedule for the family in terms of activities. I guess I'm also lucky. I'm also blessed to have kids who really were able to adapt well. I know it was a struggle for some parents too. My children have been sharing with me the struggle of their friends as well. And it's hard. It's very hard for parents to really. It's either you grow that relationship, or the relationship is actually damaged because of this COVID thing, and everyone is at home. Everyone is just on its loose ends, right? So it's a two-way thing. I think it's we have to make sure that we take this particular time to really assess our values. Like, if we value our family, this is the best time for us to really say, okay, this is the best time for me to reconnect with my children or with my husband. And, work will always be there, but, you have to set time for yourself, for your family, and for work.
Wow. One of the other things that I would like to ask you is the kind of work that you do with the travel business, right?
Mm-hmm.
She says there's a plus sign in the bottom left, but let's see if we can do something about it.
Yeah, can you see the plus sign? I think you can actually. So it says here there's a plus sign at the bottom. So we just.
Can you bring it in, maybe, Maria?
I'll see what I can do. So I don't think I have control. I just went in, trying now. Okay. Bottom left, click on Joanne's face. Can you see Joanne's face on the bottom left?
Not at all. I don't have the controls. I can't do it.
Okay, hold on.
Doesn't allow me to.
Yeah. Well, I can see her as she's joining, but I don't see
anything either. I can't. Yeah, I don't have a plus sign at all. Okay. I can't even click on her face. I don't even see
Let's see. Invite the video call. Because I just click on Joanne's face.
There she is. Thank you. I don't, for some reason, I don't have it.
We're all
Well,
learning from this. Hop
we
in.
have you back, Johan. Thank you.
Right, literally, this is the epitome of what we're dealing with in COVID, right? Not only are we dealing with all the stuff that I could hear what you guys were saying, but it's like dealing with the tech, dealing with the Zoom, dealing with like not normality for us, and it's crazy. Yeah.
Well, that's what that's a question I'd like to ask both you and Maria. One of the things I do want to go back to you with Johan before we move on is I want to find out. You have your son. You're at the end of your day. Okay.
Yeah.
And one, I want to know if you set boundaries for your clients to call you between a certain time and a certain time. And the second is you're at the end of your day. Your son's at you for certain things. You've got to get certain paperwork out for your clients, right?
Yeah.
And you're trying to get some sleep and relax. How do you handle it? And let's get real about it.
let's get real. I think this is what I was alluding to earlier. Like I don't really stop, so I sometimes I wake up at 3-4 in the morning. I might be answering emails, or writing notes for my articles or stuff like that. However, I have set boundaries. Like I hate the mornings, so I really don't work before 10 o'clock, and I do the school drop off. So that's in a really positive way that COVID's had an effect on me, is that I'm not in the confines of the 9 to 5, right? So I can say to my clients, like, call me after 10. I'm quite happy to work between 10 and 7, 10 and 8, 11 and 9, whatever. But before, we had to have this like social hierarchy and construct where we had to be in the office at 9 o'clock. Why? So for me, it's allowed a degree of flexibility. However, having said that, for all the mums and entrepreneurs and business owners that are listening, I think it is about having those boundaries and, just sticking to what is right for you. I don't mind doing that as long as I don't have to be sitting at my desk at 9 o'clock and change to it until 6 o'clock. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And, there's been studies about Zoom, okay, or just these kinds of video things where they said that we actually are affected more by having being online because we have to get, we have to look a certain way. Where if you've been at your job for a period of time or you've been a consultant with a group for a period of time, you can dress who you are. You don't have to be so perfect for the rest of the world. Do you feel the pressure of that when you're on calls, Maria and Johan, all day long?
I definitely wear a lot more makeup. Yeah, I definitely wear a lot more makeup. But I'm like the top half, the bottom half. Yeah, I'm wearing my leisure wear. Leisure wear has definitely come through for me. So. But yeah, there is a constant pressure to present a certain way, to look a certain way, and also that face-to-face interaction. It's really, you're missing quite a fundamental part of like human nature, sort of seeing, humans interacting. If we were in a room, it would be a totally different dynamic, right? So I think, we are missing out in some respects.
Do you feel tired at the end of the day, Johan, from being on Zoom all day sometimes?
Yeah, like so tired. Like it is it's a completely different flex, right? It's completely different from, you can't just, you can't just pop off and have a coffee with someone in the kitchen, like if you're in the office or. And what I would say is the focus is totally on you. So I think in terms of that, there's a lot more pressure. So I have my own consultancy. I have my own anti-racism, equality and diversity consultancy. I train to very senior level exco board leadership teams, and when you have 30, 40 people on a Zoom that are all looking to you, there is no reprieve, and you're going for 2 hours. So, and as Maria was saying earlier, actually that's quite a toll on you physically to sit in a chair for 2 hours while you're answering questions and presenting, and that's actually quite a toll on your body. So I have
Johan,
found,
I'm sorry, you found what? Go ahead, please.
No, I'm just spending a lot of money at the osteopath.
But I do want to ask you then, Johan, based on what I'm sorry, Maria, based on what Johan said, do you feel sometimes like, how does your body feel when you've had a whole day sitting in a chair? What do you do also to give yourself breaks in between?
Well, I my office is in the basement. So what I do is I just go up to my bedroom, which is like two floors higher, just for the exercise because I couldn't go out. Well, we just had nice weather here in Alberta, but for the most part, we're like winter weather here. So it's just so dress up and go out. It's just going up and down the stairs. That's my exercise, but it is really tiring. And initially I was like, oh, I can do so much. I can meet a lot of people because I'm doing it on Zoom. But then you get that fatigue, and you get that you just get your body just couldn't take a lot of 8 hours sitting or more than 8 hours sitting. So what is the struggle for me was trying to do a presentation while sitting. It's I used to that's one of the things I miss, like the in-person live training, because you can go around the room and chat with people while presenting, and this is one thing that we cannot do right now. And I think we still have to figure out how to do it. Maybe I don't have that camera, a photographer to video me while doing training, and so I can just go for a little bit of a walk here in my small room, right? But yes, it is very tiring, and initially I was kind of excited I can do a lot, but then it just like, oh, it will not work.
And so
Yeah,
this is what go ahead, please. Go ahead.
You don't have the traveling time. You don't have the time in between, or either end of meetings. So you're not sort of, you're saving time, as Maria said, but you're actually spending a lot more energy because then you're fitting in to your hours all those meetings, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. So it's almost chock-a-block. So actually, what I try and do now is have some time between meetings. Like today, I did a bit of half an hour Pilates, just go and get my mat, blah, blah, blah. And then I have the school run. So before, I would, drive in the car. So now I make sure that I walk to the school, walk back, carve out that time. But it takes a lot of effort to actually make sure it's so much easier to jump in the car, right? It's like a 10-minute drive or a half an hour walk. But what I try to do is say, come on, it's way more important for you to have that 30-minute walk is get back in 10 minutes and get back on Zoom.
And do you do that, Johan? Do you actually do that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Well, first of all, I did it, and then none of my clothes fitted me, so I was like, okay, hold on a minute. I'm going to have to make some changes here. So I started doing some Zoom exercises and walking and stuff like that.
And no, go ahead, please. I'm sorry, John.
That's right. It's just also, it's also time for my son and I to have a little chat on the way to school and on the way back from school. So you're like, okay, so that's how we get our quality time. But it's all shuffling, reprioritizing, changing things up to fit into this new COVID world.
This paradigm shift. And one of the things, absolutely. And one of the things I think is really important, one of the things I like what you're doing now, I think it's good to have a cup of cold water at the seat where you are, or something that you do like to drink. Also doing meditation, but you need to get out that house at least during the day, at least once, so you can connect with the air. And this is what I want to ask both of you. I know, Johan, you've said it, but Maria, do you take the time to have that mental health moment where it's not just to walk upstairs to get a break, but I mean, really take a little bit of time away in your day for yourself? Do you do that, to give that to yourself so you can recharge?
I try to do it, but it's not consistent. So I'm bad at that. I have to work on that one. What I did before, and I've been trying to do, is just to close off my laptop, because if it's always open, you tend to, just look at what's going on in the email, or try to do something. And then I just go upstairs to my bedroom, 10 minutes, and then I go down again. But yeah, it's sometimes, again, it depends on the schedule, right? So this year I try to be better when it comes to scheduling myself. Try to give you enough space to really go for a walk, especially now that the weather is nice. So I think I'll do more of that.
So here's my last two questions. Your mental health, okay, Johan and Maria, your real mental health. Like, I mean, you know, they call it collective trauma, okay? With the flows of 1 minute, you're hearing that everything's going to be okay. We got a vaccine. Everyone should take the vaccine. Then you're hearing people are dying from the vaccine. And then, you know, all of these different stories. And then, oh, everything's opening up, but you still have to wear a mask or whatever. How has this affected you emotionally and mentally? You want to close off the news, but it's like you can't because you need to have the information for you and your children. How has this affected you personally for a moment? I know we talked about the kids, the partners and all that, but how, and I want you guys to speak from an I perspective, not like, you know, we have to, it's important we do this or that, because as business owners, both of you are used to being on, helping everybody else. But I want you guys to speak the words I, okay? How has this affected you, Maria? Hearing all this news, do you know what to do? How have you been able to manage and navigate through it?
Well, I have learned to not to watch the news all the time, not to be, watching because I try to really make sure that I'm filtering out anything negative, because it helps me stay focused and stay positive and optimistic. What I'm doing now is just listen to the news in the evening. Unlike before when, COVID first started, I really have to be updated because of what's going on with my travel business too. But now that it's all, kind of slowed down, I not to listen like first thing in the morning. I just listen in the afternoon or in the evening, just to at least help me. And I think it's helping me a lot to stay focused, to stay positive.
But how have you dealt with knowing what to do, of what vaccine to take, and if you want your children vaccinated? I don't want to get into whether we agree or not agree with vaccine, but navigating those waters, like that's a psychological trip on you in general, because you both have children and you have to make this huge choice for your child and yourself and your husband. Like how does that affect you, Maria?
Well, for me, what I'm thinking is I always think of what's good for everyone, even though I'm not comfortable getting the vaccine. But if it's going to protect myself, it's going to protect my children, we will do it. In fact, here in our province, here in Canada, in Alberta, they will be for ages 12-year-old up. So like my children will be eligible, my youngest daughter will be eligible, and it's just a matter of us booking a schedule. And I think it's all the personal choice, right? I know some people who are not going to be taking the vaccine unless they will be traveling. But I think for me, what is important for me is what is the good for everyone. If it's going to help, eradicate the spread.
Right. And what about yourself, Johan? How have you been able to navigate, hearing about it? I'm not talking about the good and the bad, Johan. I'm talking about navigating it. Like 1 minute we're here, 1 minute we're there, 1 minute we're here. As a mom, how have you dealt with it, about knowing what route to take for yourself and your son?
I mean, it has been really trial and error. It's been exhausting. I've had the first vaccine, and I will be having the second one in July, just because, selfishly, I want to travel and I just want to make, I want to go to the pub and, all right, oh, hold on. Am I going to get to go to a festival? Yes, I think I'm going to have the vaccine. And in all seriousness, my ex-partner, he's vulnerable and he's shielding. So, for the greater good, I thought, let's have the vaccine. But I think in the up and down, and I think particularly for the kids, like for my son, it's been really hard, the not going to school, the being at home. It's completely not natural to be at home 24/7 with your child. They need to be at school, and, and being with their peers and, having that interaction on a daily basis, not just to be with their mum who's like trying to, like as you said, navigate work, home. I mean, it's not just your business, right? You've got to still do the shopping, you still got to make sure the house is clean, you still have to do your business, you still have to try and then be a teacher. So there's so much more to do. So I've had total low moments and moments where even the other night I just burst into tears. And I was like, why am I even crying? And then my son started crying, and I was like, we're crying. And I don't even really cry that often, but it was just like so overwhelming. And he's like, he's only 9, but he was like, Mum, it's really difficult because we just can't go and do anything. And it was half term, actually. So we were just like trapped in the house and we couldn't see anyone. And eventually just that boredom and that irritation and that only so many films you can watch. And, so, just the tears just come out.
I tell you, Johan, I really appreciate the fact that you and Maria being so real because, I found myself crying and I started to think, am I crazy? Because you start crying out of nowhere. And, and then there are those days where you start, I almost want to cry now because I'm thinking about those days when I'm working and you can't tell the difference between the days and the evenings and the days are just going. And I'm saying, yeah. And then, you're just crying and you're like, and then I started to find out and talking to like yourself, Johan and Maria, it's normal that people are crying right now. It is normal that the most, and here's the thing. I know I heard you say something, Johan, earlier about, did you say you look at crying as a form of weakness?
Yeah.
I want to offer something about that. The most powerful person, Maya Angelou, once said, cries.
I love Maya Angelou. Yeah.
Because you see, it's good to cry. Because when you cry, as long as you're not crying to manipulate someone, that's a difference. I cry. I don't have a problem. That doesn't dictate my strength as a woman or as a human being. But it's important to cry and let it out. The thing is, when you cry, we have to be careful as human beings that people don't take it for granted or take it that we're weak or stupid, but at the same time, if you are very clear with who you are as a human being, it won't matter because you're never going to have people who are going to love everything you do anyway. And that is that's the last question I wanted to really ask you. What I've walked away with this COVID is, excuse my expression, but not really giving a damn what people think about me, and crying if I need to. And I think what COVID has taught me, I think the good that it has is tearing away the inauthentic layers that we have had to use office spaces and being with one another. Like your son coming up, that's real. He needed something. You're taking care of it. That is what I love about what COVID has taught me. And it's really not COVID. I think we need to be clear. It is a virus that came in. We're dealing with it. COVID did not do anything to us. It is a virus. And as a matter of fact, it might be from what we've been doing with the earth.
Yeah.
So we need to look at that. But at the end of the day, that's my lesson from COVID is I'm going to be 100% who I am, being responsible, being appropriate. Yeah. But if I need to cry about something, I do, because sometimes I didn't know whether I was going or I was coming. And then you're listening. I don't listen to the news at all, except sometimes once every 2 days. And social media, that's another thing, from the R. Kelly stuff to Trump to all kinds of things. It was like just, people can be so, when they had nothing else to do, everyone has an opinion on social media and they will come after you if you don't agree with the majority. So that's why I said it teaches you to be yourself. So I want to know what lessons, Maria, that you learned from COVID that were good lessons, that's something that you would not have learned about your family, yourself, or whatever had COVID not happened.
Well, I think for me, it's more of really being grateful every time and every day. We tend to, prior to COVID, we didn't even realize that this is going to be happening, that this is going to happen to everyone. Like, it's the whole world affected by it. You cannot travel, our lives have shut down, literally, right? We cannot do things that we used to do. And so those are the things that I reflected on and say, okay, there are a lot of things that I wasn't grateful and I wasn't really appreciating. And so I really do my best to make sure that I appreciate and I reflect and try to be positive because, there's no point in me complaining all the time. It will not help me. It will not help the people that I'm speaking with if I do a lot of complaining. that's one of the things that I wanted, and I've been teaching my children as well. Like, you have to make sure that you are appreciating what you have. You used to do this, we cannot do this anymore. Even like here in where I am at, we cannot even meet as a family. Outside the family, you cannot even gather. So you tend to appreciate the fact that you have your sister, 2 blocks away, but right now we cannot meet with them. Or my parents, they're in the Philippines right now, and we tend to do a lot more video call with them. Before we didn't do that. So those are the things that I think I learned from COVID. Appreciate your family. Try to reflect on your values too. So what are the things that is important to you? I think for me, what I learned is I have to take care of myself. I have to take care of my health, because otherwise, what will happen to my family, my kids, what will happen to the business that I'm trying to set up and trying to build. So it'll just all go down the drain if I'm not taking care of my health.
Wow. And I have a different kind of question for you, Johan. Okay.
Yeah.
What have you not only learned from COVID, okay, but what have you learned about other people, like their real motivations from COVID? Have you seen the real deal of people during this COVID?
I think, I just think that everyone's had a real reset button for COVID, during COVID. And like Maria said, it's really made you appreciate the smaller things in life that you completely took for granted. For me, I'm so appreciative of the fact that I'm no longer a slave to the 9 to 5. I can't, tell you how grateful I am that, we've all globally had this reset button, that we don't need to do that anymore to prove our worth or to prove our professional worth, or and actually where we all really focused on being successful and who we were, that's actually really not the most important thing. And family, going on holidays, all those things that we completely took for granted, you're like, oh right, okay, yeah, now I really get it. Like, I'm desperate to travel. And I think it has shown people in their true colours, and there's been quite a definitive, line on who people are, and even in terms of what COVID is and conspiracy theories and stuff. It brought to light so many issues that you didn't know about people, even people that were really close to you. Like, wow, I didn't realise that you were a conspiracy theorist, or for me, my business, anti-racism, it's opened so much dialogue and conversations with even my closest, nearest and dearest. And I'm like, wow, I really have got to know a lot more people very personally than I ever have before. And I've got to know myself more. And, going back to the thing about crying and the tears, I realized that, I've had this strong Black woman narrative that, I'm not, you're not weak, you don't show this weakness. Actually, it's fine. I cried at the school gates. I've had hugs from the other mums, and vice versa. And, that's fine. Actually, it's fine to show that you're human. It's fine to show. And I think people have been a lot more open about what's going on in their lives, because everyone's been dealing with so much crap that you're like, actually, I've left my husband, or I've done this, or I've set up my business. It's like, and it's like, whereas before people kept up this kind of pretense and everything was fine. And I think people are just a lot more honest now. And, I really appreciate that. And I feel like I've got to know myself and, people around me a lot better.
I have this question from someone that just tagged me here privately. Listen, for you and your children, if you guys don't mind answering this, you and your children, there's social media, and a lot of people put their children, so for me, I like that balance. I don't feel my personal life needs to be on social media. Okay. What I do in my business, yes, and I'm still even careful about that. I like being behind the scenes, like Mallory was talking about earlier. So I see a lot of women, some of them, they might show the lower part of their children, but then there's people like, I've fallen in love with actress Gabrielle Union, her daughter Kavya. I watch every day, but they can do that. I don't necessarily always know that I want my nieces or others to be on social media like that, where I'm personally showing everything my 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 year olds are doing. So my question to you is, Johan, how do you feel about showing everything you do with your son who's 9 years old, or Maria, if you were showing everything you were doing with your 8-year-old daughter, do you think that you need to show everything that you're doing online with your children?
No, absolutely not. And I'm really, careful. Even tonight before we had this, I was like, we're going to be on video. Make sure that you just had a bath, and like to make sure I was like, people are going to be able to see you, so like make sure you come in dressed, and I would, I'm quite happy to share quite a lot of personal stuff, but not intimately personal and not actually about my children on social media. So I really sort of toe the line, and I actually make considered decisions about what I do to stay on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the same with me. I don't usually post a lot of stuff, especially in regards to the children. Most of the stuff that I post on social media, it's just like, what I'm doing, but it's not all the time because I'm busy as well. I don't have time to really post a lot of stuff in Facebook or something, even on LinkedIn, even if I wanted to, because it's, but yeah, it depends on the person too, right? Some people find satisfaction maybe in getting a lot of likes, but we all know that, those likes doesn't really turn into maybe a source of happiness, or it could be temporary, but some people get their satisfaction from that.
Well, yeah, companies.
Oh, one person. Yeah, I know one person. He has been, showing a lot of his whatever he's doing. He's a very successful person. I know this guy. I used to go. He was my classmate in university. And a few weeks ago, sad to say, he actually passed away and he committed suicide. But in all the social media postings that he did, he was a very happy guy. So,
right. And that could be the facade. That could have been
exactly.
Yeah, it's not a true reflection. Yeah.
No, and that's what I get concerned about, us opening our children, especially during COVID. What I found is I talked to a lot of youth because I teach youth, and they were tired of social media because they were on Zoom all day long for school. So they did not want an extra time to be on their social media, And Johan
that's one good thing, right? So
in closing, as mothers, as two beautiful mothers, what do you want to say about this time that you've had in COVID? What are your takeaways that you've learned from and grown from? I don't care if it's considered good, bad, indifferent. What is the biggest thing you've taken away learning about yourself? About you don't have to be superwoman. What have you learned about that, about yourself?
I think it's going back. I alluded to it earlier, but it's like I don't have to be this like superwoman, strong Black woman, consistently performing, consistently being successful, consistently making loads of money. It's like I can have moments where it's not okay, and actually be honest about that, and the difference being is not seeing it as a negative thing. So, if I have a moment, then not just beating myself up for like, oh my God, I cried in public or whatever. It's just like, that's fine, actually. Everyone's going through stuff. So,
But Johan, what if you weren't going through stuff? It's okay to cry too.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. I still have a difficulty with it, but sometimes, but it's actually fine. And we're not superhuman. And, this is, this pandemic has put such an extra strain on everybody, whether you're male, female, dogs, children, the works. It's been a strain. So actually, it's just like being kind to others, but also being really kind to yourself, and just sort of carving out. I do try and carve out that sort of me time, and even if that just means reading my book for half an hour when I'm in bed. It's just like having some sort of, this is what I'm going to do for me, because actually there's more important things in life than slaving for work, actually.
Yeah. And I have a little bit of a different take on it with you, Maria. I heard Johan say something. Well, you know what, Johan, I just want to say this. I love what you said about something about, I think culturally the strong Black woman. I think that it's through whether you're African American, African, or Caribbean, you're expected, or Latino, or even Filipino, you're expected to be this strong, strong women in Southeast Asia. I notice a part there, and also in African communities, certain communities, I've noticed they expect women to be strong, strong, strong. But I think it's important for us to show up as just human beings, like Maria said earlier, where we all need a village to support. So Maria, going to you, you said that you were able to call on the village to support. What have you learned, about being that strong woman? You already shared one aspect, but what have you learned about yourself personally that's a takeaway for you from COVID?
Well, I think I also learned to appreciate myself. Like, before I thought I initially, when the COVID hit and hit my business, travel business, I used to have 9 sub agents under me, and so it went down to 2 currently. So I learned to appreciate that I'm a strong person, even though I know I have to appreciate the fact that my body and my mental health can only take so much. And so I think that's one of the learnings that I had in this pandemic. One of the things that you needed to do is try to reflect and see who you are, what are you doing, and I think going back to why am I doing this, and if it's something that really is not in accord to my values, or maybe I changed my goal already, you can always pivot, and you can always do something else, whatever will make you more, I think, more appreciate your talent more. You can do that, and that's what I did. Actually, it would be crazy for some people, but I used to have a part-time work. Aside from consulting, aside from travel, I used to do some part-time work as well, as an HR consultant, talent acquisition consultant. I gave up that one. So right now, I'm focusing full-time on my business, trying to rebuild my travel business, trying to build my consulting business without any, support from my other part-time work. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, maybe some people will think I'm crazy doing this at this time, but I have my goal. I know my why, and so that's what I learned from this pandemic. That you can do so much for yourself if you're just if you know what you need to do, and you have that, I think, the courage to move forward with it. I think just believing in yourself is very important.
Thank you so much. I will say what I've learned is I've always been someone who's always going, and always on the move, even with my family, trying to bring the family together. And so in doing that, you don't begin to remember my own existence. Okay. Mm-hmm. And when I say my own existence, it's not that I didn't appreciate or love myself. It's just that I was so used to the next thing that I didn't stop to breathe and appreciate. Yeah. And as I'm not a religious fanatic, but I am a Christian. And I also ascribe to some Hindi philosophies from India. And I do something with art of living, which is a form of breathing. And I've done it for 11 years. And one of the things I notice in breathing, not meditation, because it's similar, but it's breathing, is that's life. That's the breath of life. It's life. And I realized that I wasn't breathing. I wasn't taking life in. I was so busy. I got to do this. I have to take care of this. I've got to take care of this. Everyone's coming to me. And I realized I have trained people. We like to say everyone's coming at us, but we trained them to come. And I realized that I had trained people in my life. I was the producer of my life, the director of my life, and we all are producers and directors in our lives. And I actually was training people that it was okay to come to me. Well, if you can't take care of it, I'll do it, or I'll tell you what to do. And it was actually draining me because you're moving your business forward, but then you got to take a hand back and tell them what to do. And they get used to that. And so therefore they don't learn enough as well, because they know that they can rely. If they can't do it, you'll do it. And so that's what I really learned, that, okay, it's not even just about streamlining. I got to stop this, because I also wasn't seeing the beautiful things that had been created by our whole team together. I was just in the throes of us always doing something. So I'm grateful to God that I had that opportunity to start to ride a bike every day like I do now. I ride every day, once a day,
That's great.
or I'm skateboarding, or but and look, I'm not the best skateboarder. I may not be the best bike rider, but it's for my health, my sanity, and for me to exercise. I don't care if it's even raining. I get out of here for 30 minutes a day or 40 minutes. I will ride a bike. I have to, because otherwise the sanity, it's crazy. So I really thank you both for having this kind of conversation, because these are the kinds of conversations that people can really relate to. And you both are real blessings, and I really appreciate you both for what you bring to the table. And I'm very moved and inspired by both of you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just going to say one last thing that I've learned in COVID is that women, and this Amplifying Her Voice Summit is really the epitome of it, but I have noticed that women supporting women has really come together, and we literally are so much stronger together, and we have to keep going, because I think before then we were maybe a bit siloed, and I think it's made us really reflect on how we need to lift each other up and support each other, and I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Yes. Joan, I have to really say thank you for saying that, because I hate to sound like the devil's advocate here, but I say, no, really, I think what you're saying is very powerful, because I have found that women, we usually support each other in three ways. It's either I'll support her until I can do what she's doing and see what she's doing, or I'll support her until I can get what I want from her and then take it somewhere else. We were just talking about that, Johan. Or I'll support her, and then if I get a little insecure. We bring our baggage into our business. We bring our baggage into our jobs. And yes, it may be the social construct of what society has us in. But I think also, as much as we're beginning to support each other, we have to really get real with ourselves and each other, that it's okay to support someone if they're doing more than you are. And it's okay. Of
course, yeah.
And someone who can really support someone is if Johan is doing better than I am, but I can go into a crowd of women and say, look, I'm not going to talk about my business. I'm going to talk about Johan's, because this may be the crowd for hers. And someone might say, well, are you being stupid because your business is not getting that way? That's okay, because this might be the crowd for her and not the crowd for me. And then me sharing about her, but you don't share just so you can put the focus on the other person. You share because it is. And the last thing, this is something I learned from a coach. I'm a coach myself. We have to get to the point that we all have agendas. Everybody has an agenda, but it doesn't mean it's a bad agenda. It means that, look, you're looking for business to not only strengthen your business and expand it, Johan, but also to take care of your family. That is why I'm sitting in front of this corporation, so I can expand my business. Maria may be sitting in front of a corporate company because she wants to expand her travel business for them to utilize her travel company. But that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with her doing that and her putting herself out and her brand out. That's the only way people are going to know who you are.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
So thank you. We stop here, and thank you everyone for being a part of here. And this was really amazing to have all of us together.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. So go.
No, I just want to thank Gail as well for being such a great moderator, just like you, Joanne. This has been such a great conversation. Very raw and very natural, free-flowing. So I like it. And thanks for the State of Women Institute for hosting us.
Yes, Anu. And it sounds like I have a feeling Johan had something she wanted to say.
No, I was just going to say, it's all about good intentions, right? That's, it's all about good intentions and having that, what we were talking about earlier, is about having that authentic care and need and want to support. And, if you have that good intention, everything else will follow suit.
Yes.
And it's been great, Maria, to connect with you, and Gail, and I just love having these conversations. I can't wait for June's Amplifying Her Voice.
Yes. And with that said, I want every person to remember you have a voice, and it's never not enough. Everyone's voice matters. What you have to do is recognize and hear your own voice in your own soul. and then you know that you're true to yourself. So with that said, everyone have an amazing day.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Speak to you soon. Bye. Bye.